Do you want to share a few, one or two, or just anything that comes to mind in terms of using Reishi with a particular client, or anything that stood out in your past clinical history of when it really kind of exemplified these wizard, this king status?
That could take us days because I work so much with different things. But I'm going to start back at the beginning. Certainly, I used it for various things, and I started using it myself because partly being an academic and partly being myself, I've had chronic insomnia my entire life, meaning that I hardly ever slept more than 4 hours for many, many years. So all my ways since the early 70s in university, all the way through, I only ever slept 4 hours a night. Now that really gave me a lot more productivity, which is great. So I got to do a lot of writing and researching and stuff like that. But if I introduce reishi into the system, I would be able to shut my mind down for longer periods of time to keep me calm. One of the bylines that's used for it in China is to protect an academic from their own brain. And
Mhm.
since I resemble that statement, I decided I'd try it. And dang, if it didn't work really well for that, it calms down the mind, almost an analog of how CBD kind of calms down the anxiety in the body. And again, this is where some of that parallel comes in. So I remember giving it to a professor of history at U of C. He was a patient of mine, and he was a very, very nervous person. And partly his history was really dealing with wars over in Europe that he was involved in over a long period of time, Chechnya and places like that. And soon as he did the reishi, it calmed down his whole personality. It calmed down everything in his life that he could do it. And after a month or so, I says, "Well, how did it work for you?" He says, "Well, it's like a half hour's worth of meditation whenever I take it." So I'm going, meditation in a bottle. I think there's a market for that in North America. And that's one of the reasons I started working with it a little bit more on a commercial level too, because it really calms down the mind. But it equally works as well in many other things. Again, if I have a person who has irritable bowel syndrome, it'll calm down the digestive tract. So it didn't matter if a patient had Crohn's disease, or if they had colitis, or they had irritable bowel syndrome, it would calm down the nervous system and almost for sure the microbiota there that would give it a chance to be able to help heal in area. So that was very successful.